Previously on the David Eagle podcast.
More sexualised content.
Including the erection.
Lou Vega has emailed me.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mambo number 6.
All right, kids, how'd you like them apples?
Ooh.
No, you fools! Who'd like a blind man to try and cut their hair? Oh, good luck with that, you bastards.
Screams want to go faster.
If I do a little fart...
A synchronised jump, whistle and fart.
Oh, bloody hell. Oh, bloody hell.
And now it's time for the podcast presented by the soon-to-be world champion hula hooper. It's the David Eagle podcast.
Yes, my friends, it's toss time. Welcome to the David Eagle podcast with me, David Eagle.
And me, Ellie Eagle-Skinner.
Last week, I can't believe it, we did a 94-minute podcast. I don't quite know how it came to that. I listened to it. I have to say, I listened to it, and it said 94 minutes. I thought there's been an editing problem here. Well, there has. I didn't obviously do enough. But when I listened to it, I was really surprised. I thought, well, yeah, there's obviously been a problem. There must be like 30 minutes of silence at the end of this file, because that was not 94 minutes. And when I looked, it was 94 minutes. So I certainly enjoyed listening to it, back listeners. Hopefully you did. It's going to be a hard one to follow. What can I say? I get very excited about the podcast.
Oh, God.
First little innuendo of the podcast. I'm sure there'll be more to come.
I wonder if we can do a week where there's no innuendo.
Or we could have like an electric thing, like a electric shock every single time there's an innuendo. Or maybe I could have like an electric probe in my endo coming up.
This week on the podcast...
I go for a walk in the park, which becomes rather eventful. Oh, I shall also be telling you about my harrowing gig in Doncaster. Although, actually, I don't tell you as much as I was planning on telling you about I get distracted and remember another story about the same venue in Doncaster and the gig that I did the last time, which I think was a lot more interesting to talk about. So I do something which I'm not sure if I've ever done on the podcast before, but I tangented.
No.
I know. But so that happened. That was quite a shock to me.
Yeah.
And we head to Bradford for another stand-up clip. We did a gig with George Ezra on Saturday, although I've not mentioned it once on the podcast. You know, like for most people, that would be like a big thing. Oh, we did a gig with George Ezra, not mentioned it once on the podcast, apart from now. Nothing really much to say about George, to be honest. I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, he's a lovely man, but he's just quite quiet. Really nice. Had a lovely chat with him. Maybe the real reason he got the Young 'Uns books was because he secretly wanted to be on the David Eagle podcast. Maybe he wanted to take part in Ellie Skinner's weekly animal penis fact, which is an old feature of ours, listeners. It just gets you getting excited there, thinking that was making a return. It's not. But he just didn't have the confidence to mention that's what he wanted. So sorry, George, if you're listening. You just need to find the confidence to let us know, and you can come on this podcast anytime and discuss animal penises or whatever else you might want to discuss. A new feature as we follow Ellie Skinner's DIY progress with a new feature, Ellie Skinner's On the Shelf. It's the return of the catchily titled technological regressions masquerading as technological progressions, where I moan about technological changes. Quite rightly, I think. Things are meant to get better technologically, but how I just think sometimes they just completely regress the whole system and a whole manner of other bits and pieces. But for goodness sake, you're listening
to listen.
You have to listen, stop.
If you want a clue, just look at the chapter titles.
And there's the description as well. Yeah. So stop being so needy, listeners. Let's get on with it.
To just spoon feed you every single thing.
Exactly. That's right. You tell them.
Yeah.
You tell them. Yeah, exactly. It's
Bloody
about time.
slackers.
Exactly.
Please keep listening.
All that and more coming up on this week's episode of the David Eagle podcast. Enjoy.
It's weird how you looked at me as if I was join in with that.
Well, the last two times I've done a deep enjoy, and so I didn't know that had become a bit of a phrase as well. Okay. Well, maybe not. Maybe just in my head.
The way you kind of looked at me made it look like I was going to go deep into enjoy with you.
It's good if we haven't got those electrodes on us. Anyway, all that and more coming up on this week's episode of the David Eagle podcast.
Have a listen.
Well, if Alison doesn't mind, and you don't mind, then why not? You join me in the park. We're having a walk. I know, you'll probably be thinking, you normally announce in the house that you're going for a walk and then you leave and then you bring us with you. Yes, indeed, but I'm always pushing the form, experimenting with the form. That's what I'm about. And this time, I thought we could just start in the park. And I don't know what's going on to my right, but I can hear someone singing. Quite aggressively or enthusiastically. It's difficult to tell from this distance. I'll see if I can get closer to investigate, and hopefully the singing will continue. I don't know if it's just one lone man singing or if it's a number of people. It doesn't sound like a big crowd, but maybe it's the David Eagle podcast supporters group. It sounds like there's maybe 2 of them. That sounds about right. Olivia's got a deeper voice than I expected, but maybe it's the steroids. I know a lot of people take performance-enhancing drugs in order to listen to the podcast, both for its endurance quality, given that last episode was 94 minutes, but also because people reckon that taking certain drugs heightens the experience for the podcast listenership. Someone was just passing me there as I was shouting about taking drugs. I can't hear the singing anymore. I didn't make it up, I'm sure I heard it. Maybe it's the drugs. The other reason that I didn't start recording from the house was because I had to quickly head to the post office to pay in some money for my Doncaster gig. Well, at least I got paid. That's at least one thing that can be said about that gig. We'll come to that in a bit.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, someone just exclaiming, oh gosh, there. Perhaps didn't expect to see me. Maybe they thought that I didn't really walk in Hillsborough Park, that I just played sound effects in. Don't know what's going on here. I don't know if he's talking to somebody else or talking to me, but we're getting closer, we'll find out. If he is talking to me, he's just referred to me as big man.
Okay, boss?
Oh yes, very good, how are you?
No, I'm okay.
Oh good, excellent.
How's
Hello.
your day been?
How's my day? It's been very good.
Sorry, my name is Sparky.
Is what?
Sparky.
Sparky?
My brother
what for?
got the same problem you got.
Has he? Oh, right, okay.
Aye. You alright, Dostu?
I'm very good, yeah, thank you.
Travel well.
Ah, you too, my friend.
Nice one, my brother.
Ah, you too. Thank you, you too, my friend. Thank you. Well, there we go, he was talking to me. He referred to me as big man. I was starting to think I'd left my flies undone. Actually, I've just realised I have left my flies undone. And then he said his brother has the same problem as me. And I suppose you could argue it is a bit of a problem sometimes. You know, it gets in the way, weighs me down a bit. So that's what happens when you walk around with your flies undone. I mean, I'm assuming it wasn't an elaborate mugging. He did tap me on the shoulder a few times. So yes, I share the same problem as his brother. I edited out some of the conversation because it went on for quite a long time with the man. He asked me if he knew of a support network. And I just said, I just tend to wear reinforced boxer shorts. That's my support network. No? I don't know if that's in any way linked to what we've just been talking about, but I don't know if you heard that, listeners. There's a man to my right just said, I don't want it soft, I want it nice and strong. I fastened up my flies now, though, but I suppose I've just done a lap, so I suppose he saw me on the way there. That's the Yorkshire pervert that I was talking about last week. So yeah, I've just come from the post office. I thought it'd be a bit weird to record while I was in the post office. I don't know how conspicuous it is, but I do have microphones. Kind of on my nipples, I suppose. I thought maybe best not recording, because if they can see microphones, the post office have just recovered. We've had the TV drama and the documentary and all the investigations, and just when we thought things might be settling, they bring out the big guns, the journalistic big guns, and David Eagle's on our doorstep, presumably doing an expose on the David Eagle podcast. Well, an expose indeed, he's left his flies open.
Stickman, beware of the goose.
I don't know if that's like a thing from a book or like some children's thing or something. There was a parent with a child who just said, stickman, beware of the goose. And obviously I'm carrying a cane, so I'm assuming that wasn't aimed at me. Does anyone know where that comes from? Or is she just referring to me as stickman? I really have fastened up my flies.
Someone found a pigeon with a tracker apparently.
The fact that we finished early and we just sat here.
I've absolutely no idea what the heck's going on. Interesting conversations we're overhearing. I do like it when you just pass people and you hear just little snippets of conversations. I also really like it as well if you just like switch on the radio and you just hear a snippet of something and you go, what the bloody hell was that about? And at least now, if it's like Radio 4 or something, you can kind of hear what the programme is and go back and listen. But in the past, that wasn't the case. I remember once just switching on Radio 4 and just switching it on just as the presenter said, I just thought I'd better wait for that to pass, because I didn't want to raise my voice above it, given what I'm about to just say. There are certain times where I'll just go, oh, well, there's a police vehicle, I can just shout over that to be heard, but not with the phrase I'm about to say. So I switched on Radio 4, and the presenter said, vomiting up the dog's penis. I think that's what it was, or duck's penis. Doesn't really matter either way. It was something like the food programme or something, and it was some weird dishes that they'd been offered in their time, travelling around the world. I never got round to rewinding and then recording it, because a part of me thought that could be quite a good thing to sample, because it was the way that he said it was quite rhythmic. Oh, I'm just passing some parent with a child, so I won't say it again. I was just about to say it again, rhythmically, whilst tapping my white cane. And they don't call me Stickman for no reason. Oh, bloody hell. This is a bit of a hill. This is a... I've never... Oh, bloody hell. And there's...
You're just on a bike track.
All right, I've never noticed this before. I'll go back down. Thank you.
That's a bit steep that way, but if you
Yeah.
straightforward, so that way, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
It's okay.
Right, I've never experienced this before. Okay, I can't really concentrate. There's quite a lot of drama going on. Oh, sorry, Oh, yeah, it's all right. Oh, but I'm back on the bike thing, am I? I've never once gone this way.
Do you need help getting somewhere?
So, is it best just go that way?
Yeah, so the tennis courts.
All right. Oh, yeah, I've really not gone this way before.
Is there a certain part?
No, it's all right. I was just walking around, but I've never once gone up a massive hill before and then nearly fell down a big step.
What you to get? By a bike.
Ah, thanks very much. This is very odd. And also, oh, bloody hell. So what keeps happening as well to extra compound things is I keep thinking I'm going to fall into a pond. The pond actually isn't anywhere near where I am at the moment. But even though I know that, visually, it looks a bit strange. The tiny amount of the sight that I have, the way that my sight works, / doesn't work. Oh, dear. Bloody hell, this is a... It looks like... I don't know how to describe it. Like the light and the lines on the path, and the shadows and the light and the way that it kind of casts itself, it to me looks like water. And so it looks like I'm just about to fall into water. And that's the exact moment that my cane, it's done it a couple of times, starts to flop. I've got a floppy stick. It just sort of, I don't know if it's because I get a bit fearful that I'm about to fall into a pond, although it would be brilliant for the podcast. Oh, the irony would be you wouldn't actually hear it. Presumably the recording would stop. And it'd be really annoying as well. There I'd be, submerged in the cold pond, shivering. And being the professional that I am, I'd start doing Flight of the Bumblebee. And it'd be an absolutely epic performance. And people wouldn't know what to do. Because they'd be thinking, well, he's just fallen in the pond. And they would just be about to save me. And then someone's like, hang on a second, listen to that. And they'd hear my rendition of Flight of the Bumblebee. Yes, I'm aware if you've not listened to previous weeks, this will make very little sense. We'll get back to vomiting up the dog's penis soon, my friends. Oh, God, I've just passed somebody again, as I said that. Maybe what the man meant was, my brother's got the same problem as you. He also walks around the park talking to his nipples. Oh, there's a game of tennis going on. Hang on a second. I'll bring you a bit of tennis. See if you can work out what's going on, listeners. I can't do any commentary because, well, firstly, I have no idea who's playing, and I can't see. So I'll tell you what's happening to the best of my knowledge. So I'm assuming it's tennis, or someone's just battered the ball. Would you say battered or racketed? You'd probably say racketed. I have absolutely no idea. Someone's just racketed the ball to the other person who's racketed the ball, and that's gone back again to the other person who's racketed the ball, and they've cheered, so something presumably has happened that's fortuitous to the person on my right. Okay, we're waiting for play to start again. It's all gone. Okay. The player on the right has batted to the player on the left, who's, I believe, batted it back to the player on the right. The player on the right has batted it back to the player on the left. The player on the left has batted it back to the player on the right. Right, left, right. I don't know why someone's tying a reef knot. And that seems, the player on the left this time seems, to the best of my knowledge, I have absolutely no idea, seems to have racketed it, to the player on my right. And I think it hit the cage bit, the fence bit, and then play stopped for a while, although play might have stopped for a while because they're distracted by the blind man who is trying to commentate on it to his nipples. Oh, good to get the score. Good to get the score there. It's 3:40. Meanwhile, I have Lexi, a dog, who is... he's came to say hello there, but the owner of Lexi is calling the dog back. Stay away from the weird man commentating on a tennis match to his nipples. Come on, Lexi. So the last thing I heard was 3:40. Unfortunately, I can't tell you to who. Oh my goodness, that was a loud one there. Oh, the play is getting more aggressive. I don't know if that correlated with the sirens going off, and somehow that kind of urgency, the sonic change there, also altered the state of play. As they heard the sirens, they thought about crime in the area, or maybe crime films or something like that, and it kind of just made them feel a little bit more aggressive. I don't know if there's been any studies on sound and tennis and how sound affects players. I don't know how, for instance, a blind man trying to commentate on a match also impacts as well. Maybe that was the reason. Maybe I've just been seen there and they thought, bloody hell, we've got David Eagle here doing some more journalism. We heard he was in the post office. We assumed he was doing some sort of expose there. But then people said that he wasn't actually recording in the post office. They checked out his nipples and there was nothing to be seen. And here he is at the tennis court. It turns out this is what he's doing.
You alright, pal?
Ah, very good, yes.
Have you lost something?
No, apart from my mind.
Alright.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Then.
I was just seeing what was going on in the tennis.
Oh, yeah, you were alright. It's alright.
All right, my friends, all right.
No, wait for it.
Oh, I don't know what happened there. That sounded dramatic, though. I'm sure you'll agree. I do apologise that we missed that moment because someone came up to me. You know, that doesn't happen on the radio, does it? Well, I say that actually. There's some weird examples of cricket commentary where they get disturbed by all sorts of stuff. A pigeon on the pitch or something, and they just start commentating on that rather than the cricket. Oh, well, that was the person on our right presumably was returning serve there, and then the left person should have hit it with a racket presumably, but didn't, and it hit the cage. Well, I've been here a while. I'm not sure what we learned. We must leave this tennis game, but a reminder, you can listen on our catch-up service. Anyway, we'll leave that there. Do apologise if you're enjoying the game. So I've never been here before to the tennis court, so I've absolutely no idea where I am or how to get back. And I haven't told you about Doncaster. Talking to me fly's been undone before. It does explain maybe why that woman, when she passed me, she said, oh gosh. I assumed it was because she thought, my goodness, he really does walk Hillsborough Park and do the podcast. But actually, it may well not have been that. So yes, I think I've made the point that I was trying to say, but I'll go back to it anyway. As we're passing people again, why not? Give it another go. I didn't get a chance to revisit the thing, but I think they were talking about unusual foods that they've been offered in other countries, that they felt that they should accept food that they really didn't want to eat, but they did. And it was the only time or something that he felt he was going to be sick. And there he was with his culture and all these people looking on, you know, and in front of them he was worried he was going to vomit up the dog's penis or whatever it was. That's, I think, the context. I never went back and listened, unfortunately. I never found the clip, because I did think it would make for a good sort of sample. Maybe I could have sent it to Fatboy Slim. But maybe I need to message into Greg James on the BBC Rewinder programme, where they troll through the BBC archives. I can't remember when it was, Greg. Maybe 15 years ago. I switched on Radio 4 for a few seconds, just at the moment that it said vomiting up the dog's penis. Could you find that in the archives? The weird thing is that I find about the programme, they seem to have transcripts of a lot of the shows. I don't quite know how it's done, but it's absolutely fascinating. So they can put in a phrase and they'll find shows that have contained that phrase. So that suggests that all the programmes are transcribed in some way. So actually, vomiting up the dog's penis, it might not have been a dog's penis, it might have been a duck's penis, or it might have just been vomiting up the penis. I can't remember, but I think there can't be many. Oh, you'll have to narrow it down for us, David. Greg will be getting back in touch with me. Bloody hell, narrow it down a bit, David. Was it a dog's penis? Was it a dog? It was definitely vomiting, wasn't it? It wasn't throwing up. Because throwing up the dog's penis offers up some very interesting suggestions of a very niche Icelandic sport. So I think just play it safe, Greg. I think just type in vomiting penis and you'll find it. I didn't realise there were some people very quietly just walking next to me. And I was in my own little world. And I didn't realise for about the last 10 seconds, I think, these people have just been really quietly walking past me, not saying a word. And I think they're together. I think they were holding hands. I mean, they might have not been holding hands before they came across me. And then they just instinctively thought, bloody hell, there's a madman here. and they just felt a bit fearful and just took a hold of each other. What a way to meet. And then someone else will go, no, he's not mad, he's recording the David Eagle podcast. And they will then get into the David Eagle podcast and they'll get in touch with me and say, we met because of you. We heard you walking in the park, talking to your nipples, calling one of your nipples Greg, and talking about vomiting up the penis. And we were so frightened to be in the presence of such a madman. We didn't know what you were going to do next, if you were going to lash out. We instinctively just grabbed each other for security and for reassurance. And then we got talking. And now we're getting married. And we want to know if you would come to the wedding and DJ for us and play your hit song, Vomiting Up the Dog's Penis.
Every now and again I do a bit of but I like just
Yeah, I think you should use another song, Leo.
Oh, you're doing singing, are you?
He's singing.
Oh.
Can I vouch for something?
Oh, yes.
This gentleman here is a comedian, and he's a brilliant comedian. I've seen you on stage a couple of times.
Have you?
Yes, I have. And I've seen you a couple of times, and you made my friend.
Oh, thank you very much.
Good to know.
Well, then it's time for you to repay the favour with a bit of a song. So what have we been singing then?
What we're going to do, Leo?
What would you like to do, Leo? What's the song that you really like?
Oh, yeah.
I like 80s.
You do like 80s?
Awesome 80s.
Should we ever go in Whitney Houston? Because it sounded...
Over Whitney Houston, right.
Oh, yeah.
You can do it. Listen, I will leave you guys to it.
Okay.
Lovely to meet you, though.
Oh, you've only just met him as well, have you?
I'm Case.
Case, can I just say this gentleman here at the side of me as well? Brilliant comedian. And a bit of a film star as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
No way.
film star?
Have you been in something?
I'm sure I've seen you in something on television. I definitely saw you in something on television.
I dread to think what you've been watching. I didn't think anyone would catch up with those films, but you've been on the dark web.
I don't know. What is something you did?
I did the Rosie Jones show.
Right, okay.
So it might have been that. Oh, and I've done Spring Watch on the BBC with the band.
I've seen you on television.
Yeah, might have seen. Oh, and Crime Watch, of course, a few times. Yeah.
That's my main one. I thought you were familiar.
Just going up.
Multiple.
Yeah, you haven't noticed I've mugged you. I've been standing here. Excellent. Bit of Whitney.
Do you do some Whitney? Lovely to meet you.
Oh, you too. Yeah, good to see you.
For David because he's incredible.
Hello, Leo. In case. Right then, we'll have a little bit of Whitney before I head off.
Should we Whitney?
Here we go. Which one are we having?
We're going to do I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Oh,
Nice. No,
here we go.
Clock strikes the hour and the sun begins to fade. Still enough time to figure out.
Oh, much better lyrics.
I've done alright up till now. It's a light of day that shows me how. Come here. When the night falls, my lonely
I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves me. I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves me. Excellent!
So good into it.
Oh! Oh, it's I'm looking forward to the falsetto solo in a bit.
Oh, so am I. And I wind up feeling down. I need a man who'll take a chance on a love that burns hot enough to last.
When the night falls on Nina's souls, oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves me. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. Oh, with somebody who loves me. Oh. Wonderful. Well done, Leo. And Case, of course, as well. You know, Leo was the true talent.
Great seeing you, mate.
You too. Good to see you, Leo. Oh, good to meet you, my friend.
yeah.
Bye. Bye. Well, I did not expect that. Right, I'm going to work out how to get home now. I know exactly where I am. We've just passed the school. That's a good audio clue. And you can hear someone there, one of the kids in the nursery, roaring there. I believe what they're doing is they're practicing for the school production of the hits of Edwin Starr. And he's just practicing his cover of War. What is it good for? And the show's going to be called Star Pupils. And everyone's doing an Edwin Starr hit. That nursery kid there is just practicing. He's got the first bit well. He's got that bit, but then he's got to move on. But you can't expect it. That kid must only be like 4 or 5 or something. I look forward to hearing the rest of the song maybe in a few days when I pass the school on the way to the park again. We'll see how they're getting on. Maybe Leo could go in and give them a few lessons. What a wonderful walk it's been. Well, this has been much better than listening to me talking about a horrible gig. And it's a real pick-me-up, that, actually, after Doncaster, to have met someone in a park who said that I made their night. Originally, when he said, you made my night, originally I assumed he was referring to the times that I've been at the Arthurian model-making conventions. I think we've all instinctively felt it. That's the big finisher.
It's gig clip time. Last week it was Bath. This week we head to Bradford. Oh, so are you doing this in alphabetical order, David? Well, no, because I was in Somerset the previous week, wasn't I, if you remember? 2 weeks ago it was Somerset. So what are you bloody talking about? This gig was a lovely gig in Bradford, although there was somebody in the audience, Elizabeth, who all the way through, her phone was just going off. And she just kept looking at her phone and texting, and her phone would just keep going off. And the compere was the wonderful comedian Silky from David Eagle Wedding fame. Star of David Eagle and Ellie Eagle Skinner's wedding, as he got our wedding guests in order for the photos. He took it upon himself just to compare the experience. We talked about this a few weeks ago, which I thought was absolutely brilliant, because he did it in such a way that didn't seem arrogant, but was just like, no, there needs to be order here. Like, we need to get them in order for the photos. The photographer's setting up the camera, trying to get them in order, but, you know, some people aren't listening. So Silky got on the microphone and just started getting everybody in order, making jokes, though, at the same time, and just comparing the gig, chatting to people as he did it. It was absolutely brilliant. He's a wonderful comedian. Of course, the other thing that he's famous for, Silky, is for the gay animals quiz on the podcast. Oh my goodness, don't tell Adrian Allen that. We've got a quiz about gay animals. He'll be absolutely furious. So Silky was comparing this gig, and he mentioned to Elizabeth that maybe it was a bit distracting to have her texts going off all the time. And her response was, all right, I'll put it on silent. And Silky was trying to make the point that it'd be nice if you actually came to the gig and got involved with the gig rather than looking at your phone all the time. But apparently, all the way through the gig, she was just constantly looking at her phone. A friend, on the other hand, was very talkative. She was giving all the gossip on Elizabeth. Apparently, she had 3 husbands. Not at the same time, I don't think. And I think she said she had 3 husbands. I mean, she was married to 3 different men at different times, rather than she just had sex with 3 different men who happened to be husbands, I think. Maybe it was 3 husbands at the same time, I don't know. Maybe that's why she was on the phone. She's juggling these husbands, and it's quite a logistical headache. So maybe in fairness to Elizabeth, that's what was going on there. Anyway, Silky was mentioning her quite a bit in the gig, but when he came off stage, just before I came on for my spot, at the end of the night, obviously what I mean is I was headlining the gig, but, you know, I didn't want to say that. It sounds a bit arrogant. But you know, I can't pull the wool over your eyes, listeners. You've read between the lines. I was headlining the bloody gig. All right, I'm doing well. I'm headlining gigs in Bradford. Well, this is when I was climbing the ladder. You know, and I was reaching the top, headlining in Bradford. Now I'm on the way back down again, performing to 15 people who don't like me in Doncaster. But it was nice to be up there, the dizzy heights of Bradford. In fact, Silky, you know, he's done this a long time now. He's a seasoned professional, and he's very wise. And I remember as I came off stage and the crowd roared their applause, and he just put his hand on my shoulder and he said, David, savour this moment. Savour this moment. It's a Wednesday night. You're in Bradford, and you've just headlined the gig. Take this with you, David. This'll get you through the long, harsh winter of Doncaster. I didn't quite take it on board at the time. It's only now, retrospectively, that I'm looking back and I think, you're right, Silky. Wise man. Wise man what? Adrian Allen's listening now. His ears are pricked up. Wise man? Oh, a bit of philosophy? No, I said wise man, as in he's wise. I know you're listening, Adrian. trying to pick up a few tips. Someone the other day told me that Adrian Allen has started doing What's That Biscuit? You might want to listen, Olivia. He's moving away from the shock jock stuff, so, give him a chance. Just before I went on stage, I said, is she still on the phone? And they went, oh yeah, she's just looking at her phone. Then she's ripe for the ribbon, I thought. So I thought it might be fun to play you a few clips from that gig. Other things of note very quickly, there was a dog in the gig called Alfie, and also the other piece of information that we learned about Elizabeth is she also has a dog. We didn't learn that from Elizabeth herself, but from Elizabeth's mouthpiece, her friend. Elizabeth was too busy looking at her phone.
I gave him a dog for Satan. I gave him a dog. I gave him a dog. I gave him a dog for Satan. Silky said, I can't afford money, but I'll throw in a dog for you tonight. Alfie! I mentioned that I was blind at the start of the gig. I still am, by the way. I'll keep you updated if anything changes, don't worry. My blindness will be miraculously cured, and still Elizabeth won't look up from her phone. Oh, no. But sorry, there's a transcript available a little bit later on. Unfortunately, it is in Braille, but anyway. People do try and cure me, actually. I was taking a walk in the park the other day, and a man came up to me, and he said, I will try and cure your blindness through God. Anyway, he hadn't cured me. I was quite relieved, actually, because I was a bit livid that he tried. This was August. This was literally the day before I was about to go to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival for a month, where each day I'd be performing an hour of jokes about being blind. The last thing I need is some bastard curing me. And the thing is, as well, with the Edinburgh Fringe Festival is you can lose thousands of pounds doing it. That's why you've got to do gigs like this, the big earners. Says there's £5 and a dog in it for you, David. And Elizabeth, you're coming home with me tonight. Things are looking up, apart from you from your phone. Anyway. Right. I mean, to be honest, you could be about to attack me and I would have no idea, just standing here all... This is the thing with the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, is they can lose thousands of pounds doing it. The only reason I think I was going to be financially solvent by the end of the Edinburgh Fringe Festival was because of my disability benefits. Of course, the bastard would have taken those off me, wouldn't he? That is the trouble with these Christian do-gooders. They don't think all the ramifications through before they start curing willy-nilly. I asked him, they said there was nothing he could do about my willy. Don't worry, Elizabeth, there's nothing wrong with it, but he was doing a laying on hands ceremony. I thought, I'll take my chances, I talk about the blindness. When I first started doing comedy, I didn't want to talk about it, but not all the times do I get an introduction where it's mentioned that I'm blind. Really built up my part there, didn't it? I was at the excitement of seeing you, Elizabeth. But I don't know how well you can see from where you are, but anyway. Look up a bit higher, and you might. Anyway. The other day I got a letter from Sheffield Council. I live in Sheffield, by the way. I don't subscribe to that. That's quite controversial, is it? Excellent. It's amazing what passes. Sing a song about killing a dog? Absolutely fine. Say you're from Sheffield? Boo! What very interesting standards we have here. The other day I was at a party and a man came up to me. There was only a few of us there because I was there a little bit early. And this man comes up to me. His way of starting a conversation was to say, "So then, mate, how did you lose your sight then?" I thought, well, this guy knows how to get a party started, doesn't he, Now look, I don't mind talking about it. It's not my ideal conversation for a party. I just made a mental note to self, maybe in future, don't arrive too early for an orgy. It's very awkward, there's only a few of us there, just Elizabeth and the 3 husbands and a dog. She's on her phone saying, "Please hold," and then she said, "I wasn't talking to you on the phone. I was talking to husband number 2 and the dog. Come on."
Anyway. But then what... I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, Elizabeth. No, genuinely. You've it's the first time you've realised what's going on tonight. What the fuck? Did someone say my name? There you go, some clips from my gig in Bradford, and then just a couple of months later, it was announced that Bradford would be the city of culture. So, coincidence? I'll let you decide. Let me just say this. There was a Bradford City Councillor in the audience, and apparently at one point he was seen filming on his phone. Was that part of the bid? Who knows? Who knows? Well, I've been talking about going through the BBC archives in the BBC programme Rewinder. It's time to take a little trip through my archives now, as we head back in time to March 2013. And I was reminded of this when I was talking about overhearing conversations. And maybe it's because I can't see. Obviously, I'm not people watching, but I am people listening. A lot of the time, I just get absorbed in people's conversations. And I absolutely love it. Because a lot of the time, you're not hearing full conversations, you're just hearing conversational snapshots. Maybe just a sentence or two, or even just a couple of seconds as they pass by or you pass by them. Sometimes my mind will go off on a bit of a flight of fancy where I kind of imagine who these people are. What happens next in the conversation? I might try and imagine what happened before that point. Who these people are, what led them to say that thing, what will happen next, how does the conversation develop? And in March 2013, on my website, I put a little audio thing up called David Eagle's Earwig, as in the verb to earwig. I think some people got a bit excited and thought that it was a podcast about my pet earwig, and we were going to follow the trials and tribulations of the insect over the course of its life. But it wasn't that. And it's basically me reenacting conversations that I've overheard. And I think the idea was I was going to do more of these, but I didn't. And I might have even thought of it as a bit of a pilot for BBC Radio 4, and then I don't know if I ever really sent it off to anyone. And then, merely 12 years later, I got my own BBC Radio 4 series. But I listened back to this and I really enjoyed it, and so hopefully you will too. So this is David Eagle's Earwig. Did you see how much sausage she had last night? I know. And it's Ramadan. Wants to eat up. That's great, babe. No, it's not. I can't eat him now. Not like this. I'm wearing the wrong knickers. These ones are too big and ugly. You can borrow mine if you want. Try to do a swap. Baby. Which ones are you wearing?
Over
the
here.
ones with the...
Over here. Absolutely. Over here.
I can't help but over here. That's just what I do.
I wanna hear what you've got to say. I wanna hear what you've got to say. Wanna hear what you've got to say. I wanna hear what you've got to say. Hey.
Both of today's earwigs take place in the same location on the same day on a Wednesday morning in a London cafe. Our first earwig is between two students in their 20s. One male, one female. I found it incredible how many uses they found for the word shit. It was very much their go-to word, which encompassed a whole range of uses and scenarios. We joined them as they discussed their work experience and their CVs. Oh, shit, man. You've done, shit more shit than me. Yeah, well, last year, I was just I don't give a shit. But then, this year, I was like, shit, I really need to get my shit sorted. Well, last year, I got my exam results, and when they told me how shit I'd done, I was like, shit, you've got to be shitting me, man. Yeah, I'm doing shitloads of revision now. Yeah, shit. This tuna panini really is the shit. Later in their conversation, the female student announced, just go in the toilet. This was one of the only times where she could have actually said the word shit within a literal context. Yet, strangely, she opted not to. Oh, these crazy London students. Our second earwig happened about 20 minutes later in the same establishment, and it's between an old married couple. They're over there. They're about 2 tables away from where we were before. Don't look at them. Hey, you've got a thing or two to learn about earwigging. Listen. Oh, Albert, why do you always have to argue with me? I'm not arguing with you, Fran. I'm just saying... You are arguing with me, Albert. You always argue with me. I'm not arguing with you, Fran. I'm just saying... Albert, you're arguing with me. You always argue with me. OK, Fran, I'm arguing with you. Oh, Now you're just being facetious, Albert. There's no need to be facetious. Why do you have to be facetious? I'm not being facetious, Fran. Oh, there you go again, Albert. Arguing with me. Why do you always have to argue with me? Oh, look at Barry and Sandra. Look at Barry and Sandra. They never had an argument. Never. Fran, Barry and Sandra divorced 20 years ago. Oh, why do you have to be facetious, Albert? I'm not being facetious. Oh... You're arguing with me again, Albert. I'm not arguing with you, Fran. I think you probably get the picture. At this point, I had to leave the cafe as I was going to a meeting somewhere else at the other side of London. But on my way out, I managed to catch just a little bit more of the old couple's conversation. Oh, Albert, this tuna panini really is the shit. No, that didn't really happen. I was just being hilarious there. Thank you for listening.
No, David. Thank you for listening.
I wanna hear what you've got to say. Hey.
Oh, what was that?
So it was me just trying to make space because it looked like we were going to sit down.
Now, can you make space, technically?
Well, free up some space.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just wondering, can you make
space? Probably can't make space because it is a concept that's already existing, isn't it?
Indeed. So there you go. We didn't expect that's just for Adrian Allen there, who likes his philosophy. There it is. And a fleeting appearance from Ellie Eagle-Skinner, who will be back later on the podcast. I'm in the kitchen, and I can't remember if I included it on the podcast or not, or if I recorded it and didn't put it in. But I can't remember. I think I put it on the podcast, where I suggested that the kitchen door wasn't creaking as much as it creaked previously, and I surmised that it was because, potentially, of the heat, the weather warming up. But I can't remember now if I kept that into the podcast. So, anyway, regardless of whether I did, well, let's hear the sound of the door now. See how much it's creaking now. Oh, gee. That is creaking quite a bit. And the weather might have got colder again. I think it was warmer on the week that I said about the door creaking. So I don't know. It's not a scientific experiment. I think stick to the philosophy. I think we were much better at that. What I was going to do there, I was going to play the sound of the creaking door, and I assumed it wasn't going to be creaking as much, and then I was going to do a little compare and contrast, and I was going to go through the various clips of the kitchen since the podcast started. We could have compared and contrasted, but listening to that sound there and the way that the door creaked, I think we might as well forgo that experiment, because that was quite a creaky door. I don't think that's any less creaky than the first time we featured the door on the podcast back in January. But I'll tell you what, why don't we just play one in so you can hear it. So this is the door in the first week of January. But now it's the start of March. Let's hear how the door sounds now. I haven't heard the clips yet because I've not been able to edit them in, but I would imagine, so I can't even really give my opinion on it, really. I'm assuming it doesn't sound very different. But I might be wrong about that, so I might be editing this in and then hearing it and going, David, it sounds completely different. You know, this is absolutely ridiculous. It's going to be an absolute laughing stock. And if that is the case, then I will edit myself in now with the benefit of hindsight, and I'll do another little bit about the door. Ellie has just put a load of clothes in the washing machine. She was just about to turn the washing machine on, and then she said, oh, actually, is it better if I don't? Because you'll hear the washing machine on the podcast. And so I said, oh yeah, just leave it for a few minutes while I do the podcast. I'm doing short episodes because last week was 94 minutes. So, you know, this will literally be a 5-minute episode. I'll rattle through it, do the dishes, rattle through this day's entry, and I must have spoken for about 3 minutes. And so far, I barely moved away from the door, well, both physically and thematically. So anyway, let's take a few steps forward. We'll head to the bowl. Oh, I've been trying... Oh, bloody hell. Because I've been doing these previously on the David Eagle podcast montages. Oh, my... Oh, dear. Hi, Timothy. It's incredible how many... As I'm going through it, how many times something startles me. And I go, oh, bloody hell. Oh, bloody hell. I'm doing it again. There's so
so many times where on the podcast I'm just banging into something or knocking something over and going, oh my goodness, oh bloody hell. Maybe we'll do an end of year montage. As mentioned previously on the podcast, very different to how they would react in olden days. The whole stiff upper lip British thing, which I've talked about before, and another mention of the BBC Rewinder series. I'm going to play you another clip, actually. So I played a clip a couple of weeks ago of the BBC radio drama, which has been recorded live, was going on, and then all of a sudden a bomb exploded and blew up the building next door, and the actors just continued as if nothing had happened. That was from 1944.
Claude! Here I am, Lloyd, here I am. I've just made the most amazing discovery. They're absolutely necessary in all walks.
What are absolutely necessary in all walks of life?
Feet.
Don't be ridiculous. Where have you been?
Here's another clip from the BBC Rewinder series. In this one, he's on a ship and it's being attacked. It's being bombed. And there's a journalist who is on the ship. And his first thought is to grab his microphone and just start commentating on it. Now, just a little warning, I know we've had some commentary already. This obviously isn't going to be quite as dramatic as my tennis commentary. So here we go. Here's another example of just unruffled stoicism.
We're in 1941. We're on HMS Versatile, and reporter Bob Dougal is under attack.
Well, we're now mid-stab, and I think I'm right in saying it's the first attack on a convoy which has been recorded at sea. We've been attacked by bombers. We've had 2 runs over the convoy as yet. They've dropped a stick of bombs, but no damage has been done. I'm standing now just by a 4-pounder. Just about the most exciting moment of my life.
Meanwhile, I knock a dish over and it really shocks me. And I go, no, bloody hell. I like the idea of someone who's seen me at a gig, because at the end of comedy gigs now, I'm trying to tell people how they can keep in touch and they can follow me on social media. And there's the Radio 4 show, See No Eagle, still on BBC Sounds. And sometimes I mention the podcast as well. I tend to only mention the podcast if it's been a really good gig, because I don't think there's any point otherwise. There's no point mentioning it to the people in Doncaster. Oh, that's a good little ring, wasn't it? Oh, and the resonant frequency. So when I do that noise near it, it reverberates through it. Oh, I like that. Where is it? I don't even know where the thing is. Or what it is. I think it's a walk. Let's walk. An F. And presumably listeners edited that quite a lot. I've been doing that for a good 3 minutes. Just going, it's the reason why I could never do this live. But I like the idea of somebody who's just seen me on stage and they enjoyed it and they thought, actually, we will keep in touch. And they see an episode of the David Eagle podcast go out and they think, I'll give this a try. And they're kind of expecting something very similar maybe to my stand-up. And then they turn it on, and it's me talking about a creaky door for about 5 minutes. And then I follow that up by going, oh, oh. Because, you know, other comedians, they're kind of like saying, oh, follow me on TikTok, and they're putting little videos up, and they're getting thousands of views, and it's getting noticed maybe by the industry. You know, it's getting a bit of a fan base, because they're these short videos that last for like 30 seconds, and they're just bite-sized chunks. Meanwhile, I'm releasing 94-minute podcasts, singing at a walk for 3 minutes. Hello, if you're listening, people of Doncaster. It was just a very odd gig. There were 15 people in. It was just a comedy club that I was asked to do the day before the gig was happening. And the guy who organises it, he was on holiday. Actually, the first time I did it was a bit strange. I've done it a few times. It's a bit idiosyncratic. It's a bit odd. I mean, the previous time that I did it, the MC was telling me that the previous week, some bloke had threatened to fight the compere afterwards. The guy had been heckling, apparently, and the comedian put him down. And then he just flipped and said, I'm going to wait for you outside. And he was really aggressive. He said, I'll be waiting outside for you, and we'll deal with this afterwards. And then other people stood up and were like, you fight him, mate, I'll fight you. And then everyone's like, yes, me too, mate. And there was like this big sort of standoff. He's like, all right then, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll bring my mates next week,
You all show up, I'll bring me mates and we'll see who's laughing then. I'm thinking, who's laughing then? I don't think this is what comedy's meant to be like. You won't be laughing next week. And I didn't hear the start of the story, so I think I came back from the toilet and I'm hearing the compere go, oh yeah, so he said. And so he tells a story about the fight and I just hear the bit where he says, yeah, and this bloke said he was going to fight me afterwards. And then he continued to tell the story about what I've just said about, I'll come back next week and I'll bring me mates and then we'll see who's laughing. I'm going to come and fight you all. And I said, bloody hell, when was this and what happened? And he said, oh, that was last week. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen this week. So I thought, bloody hell. So it kind of gives you maybe an idea of the kind of clientele we're dealing with. Anyway, he didn't turn up again, fortunately. And that gig, I was meant to be opening. I think I might have been a last-minute replacement again for that one. And it was a busy week for me. And one of the reasons for taking this gig was because it's a half an hour drive away and I was going to be opening and I was going to be away. So I was only going to be at the venue for like 40 minutes or something and then I could get home. So I was quite looking forward to that aspect. I was pleased to be doing the gig. I don't want you thinking I really brought the right energy to the gig there. But that was just an extra bonus. I thought, turn up, 40 minutes later I'll be back in the car and we'll be heading home. Now I was starting to worry that I wasn't going to get home at all. I was going to end up in hospital. And then I got there and the comedian, I can't remember who he was. He's certainly not massively established or anything. I'm not saying that I am, but he was one of the acts in the middle, and they tend to go to newer comedians who are just starting out. And this bloke turns up and he says, I'm going to have to go on first. And I thought, what? He says, oh yeah, I need to go on first, mate. So my hackles are raising now. Because I'm thinking, well, I don't know who you are. I've not met you before. You're clearly just a new comedian. You may have been doing this a few months. I've been asked to open this gig, and now you're telling me that I'm not going on first. I've got to wait for you to go on first. So it just feels very odd. And I said, well, mate, I've got someone waiting for me, to drive me home. And they think we're leaving at a certain time. I can't just change my plans on a whim. Why would you go on first? And also, the whole point of lesser experienced comedian going on in the middle section is because the audience have had a bit more to drink. There's a bit more energy in the room because they're more warmed up. They've hopefully seen an accomplished comedian who's good, and so that's got the crowd going. That's the idea. And so it's easier to middle a gig. And the middle is only doing 10 minutes. So it's a bit kind of arrogant to kind of go, oh yeah, I'll open the gig, mate. Because it almost assumes that you're saying, I'm good enough to open this gig. So I said, why do you want to open? And he said, oh, well, because I've come from Liverpool and there aren't any trains back. If I go on in the middle, I'm not going to make the train to get me home. Why on earth did you take the gig? I said, oh, so the trains have been cancelled, have they? He said, oh, no, they just stop at a certain time. And I said, well, they always stop at a certain time. So you knew this before you took the gig? He said, oh, yeah, I just thought I'd just, when I arrived, I'd just have a word and we'd change places. Often what happens at these gigs is I'll open one gig and I'll close another one somewhere else. So if that was the case, there was no way I was going to be able to change. And so it felt like a bit of a threat, which again is quite a confident thing to do, to not be very experienced at doing comedy. Like most comedians would be really nervous about having only been going for a few months, and this guy comes in really arrogant and really confident, and a part of me thought, bloody hell, am I about to be showed up here? Is he going to be like unbelievably good? And that's the reason he's so confident, because he's just really good and he's just going to like absolutely storm it. I didn't want to make the compare's life harder, so I just said, look, we'll swap. And I think maybe the agreement that I came to, I said, how about we just have one interval rather than the two? And he goes on, he does his 10-minute spot or whatever it is, and then I'll go on and do 20 minutes or whatever, and then we have our interval, and then we'll get the other middle act and the headliner on. So that's what we agreed to do. I wasn't pleased about it, but I thought I'll just do that, because otherwise the poor compare is going to be, in a sort of a standoff situation. And also a part of me was thinking, well, this could be all completely academic anyway, because we might all be getting attacked by a bloke and his mates. So then the gig starts, and the compare does his thing, and the audience are really quite nice. There's a few more of them than usual in the gig, and I think a lot of them are there because they're hoping there's going to be a fight. So the place is quite well attended. And the time I did it before, I don't think it was very well attended. And this time was not well attended at all. There were 15 people in. It's all going really well. There's a great energy in the room. People are up for a good night. And then he gets to the first guy on, this new guy who's decided he's not going to go on in the middle, but he's going to open the gig. And there's a part of me going, right, what's this going to be like? Because he's really confident, I would say arrogant. He seems very self-assured. And he goes on, and I think he sounded quite confident for the first 30 seconds. And then as the gig went on, and he got absolutely nothing. He might have got like a polite chuckle, but essentially it was absolute silence. It just was really cringeworthy. And he did his 10 minutes, and then he came off to polite applause, but very lukewarm. And it was clear that people were just like, what the bloody hell was that? And then he just got his stuff, and he left. I don't think he said goodbye. He just got his stuff and he left. I'd love to know what was going through his head. I might play you a little clip, actually, from this, because there was one bit. So this bloke, obviously, had gone off and he'd gone to get his train. And I think he must have announced that he was getting the train as well. I think that was one of his things that he said. When the audience weren't laughing, he went, come on, I've got the train from Liverpool for this. As if they were going to go, oh, right, ha, 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 you know. And I think this might be the only time on stage that I've had a go at another comedian. You know, like if a comedian does a gig and does badly, you don't really want to mention it. It's a bit cruel to be doing that. But he'd gone, so he wasn't going to hear it, unless he listens to this podcast. But I very much doubt that. But hello, if you are listening, you arrogant sod. I think he's too arrogant to be listening to other people's podcasts. He probably just does his own for himself. And also, I felt that everybody's just had that experience. Everybody has just experienced this failure. When I say this failure, I mean this person's failure. I'm not calling him a failure. But everybody has experienced this person's failure. And they've all been through that experience together. And it feels like there needs to be a tension burst. You know, it feels like we've kind of got to acknowledge it. We've kind of got to acknowledge it and then we can move on. So that's one of the other reasons for doing it on this occasion. Anyway, so while we're talking about Doncaster, here's a little clip from that previous gig. Thank you very much. He's got a 6-hour train journey home tonight, so just imagine how he feels. Unbelievable. I know. Well, I was going to drive him home, but I thought he'd experienced one car crash too many tonight. Anyway. Oh, no, hang on. I'm sorry. I'm only saying this because I know he's gone. Oh, otherwise, there's going to be another fight tonight. Anyway. Where were we? Oh, yes, good evening. Oh, I've just heard that the previous act's train has been cancelled, so he's on his way back. He's going to do the second half. Okay. Now, this gig in Doncaster, the one that I did a few days ago, there was nothing major that happened. There were just 15 people turned up to this comedy club, and it's the kind of venue where people just walk in and out. I think it might even be a free night. People just don't even necessarily know there's going to be a gig on. They just turn up, and it's very rare for me to do those kinds of gigs. Normally, it's a proper theatre or a nice gig in a pub or whatever, so it's quite odd to just be doing a gig and then you just hear the creak of a door. And of course, that just immediately distracted me. I wonder how that compares to the creak that the door made last time I was here and the time before. Well, I shall be sure to check that out when I get home. In fairness, it was probably my fault. The door creaked, somebody walked in. The next thing I know, I'm doing 5 minutes on the door. I said, I don't suppose anybody's got a wok with them, have they? Get in the kitchen. Find me a wok. I've got another little routine I'd like to try out. There were 15 people in the audience. Everybody was sat at the back. They put out far too many seats for the number of people that were there. So they were all congregated at the back and I was performing to empty seats. And then there was just this bloke at the bar who just kept shouting stuff out, but he never shouted when there was a pause. He would wait until I started talking, and then he'd shout. And then when I asked him what he said, he didn't respond. Then I suggested he might like to do his heckle when I leave a pause, because then people will hear it, and it seems a shame that he's presumably worked on it. And he might have been working on it for weeks, you know, and he's established what he wants to say, but he's forgotten the other rule of heckling, when to say it. And it's important to wait for a pause, otherwise you're not going to hear it, because I've got amplification, I've got this microphone here, you see. So I just tried to explain it to him like he was a child. And so that just essentially went on for more or less the entire gig, and then I didn't really know what to do after that, and I was hoping that someone in the audience was going to go shout at him and say, will you be quiet, mate? But they just sort of tolerated it, and then I sort of ran out of options, really. So I just tried to kind of go on with it and do the gig as best as I could, and it went all right, and he'd sort of quietened down, and then a few minutes later he just started going and started shouting out again. Then I started getting paranoid that he had some kind of disability or something. I really don't think he did. You're just showing off now, kitchen door.
I need to bring the bin in.
Oh, there we go, listeners. That could be a new feature, perhaps. I know some people will be quite confused, and they'll thought, surely you have staff, David, who do that for you. We've just burst that illusion. Anyway, come in here, Ellie. Ellie is entering the studio room, because we have a little jingle to play, Ellie. Because it's time for a new feature. Ellie, last week for her birthday, got given a set of shelves. It's an IKEA flat pack shelves, so it's her job to construct it. And in our feature, we're going to find out how Ellie is getting on with that. So I've been hearing a little bit of hammering, a little bit of screwing. So it's time for our potentially one-off feature, because I don't know how quickly you've assembled the shelves. This could be a long-running feature, you know, but we'll see. It's time for Ellie Skinner's On the Shelf.
Well, there is hammering and screwing, and we all know what she's doing when Ellie's in the bedroom by herself. There is beating, there is banging, there is lots of metal clanging. They say DIY is good for mental health. She got it from IKEA, then some van men brought it here, and now wooden screws and brackets, there's a wealth. Is the assembly done, or maybe she's barely begun? Oh, well, it's time for Ellie Skinner's On the Shelf.
Okay, Ellie.
You know what? At a singing weekend, I've complained before that you've never written me a song. And actually, technically, I think you've done me two.
But and I've also written you a couple of songs.
Well, yeah, because you did the animal penis fact
Yes,
ones. So, but I think this is a bit more me.
Okay.
So, shelf news.
Shelf news. Ellie Skinner's On the Shelf. So let's go in.
We're going to have to be a bit careful because there's still a lot of stuff.
Oh, it's a bit of a tease there. So that suggests that the shelf is not complete yet. So
one of the struggles is this room is full of a lot of boxes that haven't been unpacked yet. So what I've been having to do is move a little bit of stuff, assemble part of the shelving unit, because it's not just one shelf. This is going to be, when it's done, a corner section and then 3 extra bits along the side. It should be pretty good when it's done. It's on the way. I'll also have to take apart a set of drawers that we don't want anymore so that I have a bit more room.
So there may be a drawers-based feature as well, but that's a different thing to Ellie Skinner's On the Shelf.
Yeah.
My goodness, there's a whole set, maybe there's an whole album's worth of DIY jingles, potentially, listeners.
You haven't done one about me drawing on the door.
Oh yes, Ellie has been drawing on the door. At first I assumed that she was drawing on the door as in, like, she'd put a piece of paper up and she was just doing a bit of art on the door on a piece of paper, like a poster type thing, but she's drawn on the actual wood.
Yes.
I was slightly concerned that this is like a cry for help. Like it was a bit of a kind of a start of a breakdown, and when people say, well, did you not notice anything, David? And I'm like, well, no, she's in perfectly happy. She was drawing on the door.
And also, you can't see what it is.
Well, that's the thing. I can't see, so I don't know how good it is. But then there's a lot of people who on social media and stuff have seen it, saying it's really good. So that's gratifying. It does seem like it's artistic rather than a psychological breakdown.
It's not me just writing, help me, get me out, make him stop doing the podcast or anything like that. It's sort of folk art, Eastern European floral designs. We can put it on.
We'll put it on social media. People can have a look. We should have like a podcast photo album almost. But anyway.
Yeah, well, that's what Instagram is, mate.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of it.
So we're heading downstairs now. Oh, still. Oh, dear. Oh, my goodness me.
Are you recording at the moment?
Yes, I just... Oh, dear.
You're all right,
so,
mate.
I just... Describe what's just happened there,
So
Ellie.
you were doing your usual sort of starting to just walk around because you were thinking...
My pacing.
And as you did that, you then tripped over the new rug that is wrapped up and on the floor... in the place where you put it, to be fair, and then fell face first into the sofa, but without damaging yourself.
A bit of audio slapstick there, everybody. It's kind of like Radio Laurel and Hardy.
It was also a bit like, because I could see it happening, because you sort of caught your foot to start with and then re-caught it as you tried to get away from it. So it looked like
Ellie,
your fall was in slow motion.
Well, talking of slow motion, we know we like to do this because things happen so fast. We can do a slow motion action replay now, Ellie. Yes, there I am, pacing around. Ellie has just come down the stairs. We're just about to continue recording for the podcast, and I get my foot caught in the plastic bag that the rug is wrapped in, and I begin to topple. I try to right myself. You can hear me sort of going, oh, there, as I try to right myself, but there's no use. I've pivoted, acting as a sort of a spring, pushing me forward again with more force and slamming my face into the sofa cushion. My goodness, what unintended drama there.
Yeah.
You never know what's around the corner. Well, that's half the problem, to be honest.
Especially for you.
It's a rug, it turns out. Oh, very
Very nice. Oh, there'll be some people really enjoying that. That'll do it for some people. There's got to be someone out there. I'm just going to do that again just for you. It's very nice, this chocolate and ginger tea. Very nice. Let's stick that down there. I'm referring to my cup, just in case you're wondering. But you imagine whatever you want to imagine. Whatever does it for you. Now, I'm putting my dressing gown on. I've got to be careful it doesn't rub against the mic. No, I think that is going to rub. I think it's going to rub against the mic. I'm going to take my dressing gown off. The things I do for you. Now, if there was someone called Mike who's listening, and it just so happened he was the person who gets aroused by my voice, he's going to be absolutely loving that bit when I started talking about rubbing against the mic. And he's like, oh, yes, take off your dressing gown, David. You can rub against me anytime you want. I mean, that's another thing. I mentioned a couple of days back about how many times I exclaim, bloody hell, or give an exclamation of shock. How many minutes of the podcast has consisted of tea slurping and going, ah. I mean, I would do a compilation of those, but I'm not sure Mike could take it. That would finish him off. Well, indeed. Technological regression masquerading as technological progression. Sing it with me. Sing it with me. Sing it with me. Sing it with me. Sing it with me.
Technological regression masquerading as technological progression. Technological regression masquerading as technological progression.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
So normally on the Windows computer, I can really quickly access various things because all I have to do is press the Windows key, which brings up the start menu, and then I just press a letter and it'll immediately go to a certain app. And then I can just press enter. So for instance, Google Chrome, I just press the start menu, I press G, I press enter. And I can do that so quickly. Start G, enter. So in under a second, I can just go start G, enter, Google Chrome's launched. Similarly for Google Drive, I can just press Start, D, Enter. And it's brilliant. It makes so much sense. It speeds things up and it becomes muscle memory. Start, G, Enter, Google Chrome's launched. Start, D, Enter, Google Drive's launched. So it becomes muscle memory. So I was very surprised when the other day I pressed Start, G and Enter, and all of a sudden, rather than Google Chrome appearing, I had something called the Game Bar widget. So I closed it down. This happened before. It happened at some point last year. And I tried to stop it. I tried to tell it to not do it, and I just couldn't work out how to do it. I was trying to use the internet to Google, but I kept asking the game bar instead. But I don't want to go to the game bar. So I pressed it again. Windows, G, enter. Bloody hell, I'm back on the game bar. And now the problem is, now because I've pressed on the game bar, presumably what happens is Windows goes, he likes the game bar. He likes the game bar. And by the way, for the subtitlers, I am saying game bar here. Mike's getting very excited now. I believe that's what Electric Six originally wanted to call their song. They wanted to call it the Game Bar, actually. Based on this exact experience, actually. Now I think about it, I can't believe I forgot this. Electric Six, they wanted to get to Google Chrome. They were used to pressing Start and G and pressing Enter, but Windows wanted to take them to the Game Bar. And that's what they were singing about. And then, of course, the record label, as so often happens, poked their nose in and said, lads, Game Bar. No one wants to hear about the Game Bar. What about the Gay Bar? And they said it's not really the vibe we're going for. But the record label put their foot down, as so often happens. I'd go on the dark web and find it for you, but I can't get on Google Chrome at the moment. But I've never accessed the Game Bar. So now it's completely demoted Google Chrome. But what is the point in that? And then similarly now, when I press D, it doesn't take me to Drive anymore. It takes me to Device Manager. But why? Why has it moved things about? I don't understand it. It's as if Windows has gone, you just keep doing the same things over and over again, David. You know, be a bit more adventurous. Maybe it's kind of like what they do in supermarkets. You're looking for the thing that you want to find and you know exactly where it is, but they've moved it about so that you see something else and go, oh, I might give that a try. So maybe that's what Windows is doing. And it's so infuriating because now it just slows me down so much. Because every single time I'll press the Start menu, without thinking about it, I'll press the Start menu and G and I've loaded on the Game Bar and I'm getting more and more angry with myself. I get angry with myself and I get angry at Windows. I get angry at myself because I'm like, well, you've got on the bloody Game Bar again. He's going to think you like it. But the only reason I've got on the Game Bar is because it's muscle memory. So I'm getting annoyed at myself. I'm getting annoyed at Windows because I feel like it sort of hoodwinked me, and I can just imagine the internal monologue of the Windows machine going, he does like the Game Bar, doesn't he? That's the 10th time he's visited the Game Bar. And each time is completely accidental. And the thing is, it's very difficult to get rid of that muscle memory because on my laptop, it's working absolutely fine. So on my laptop, if I press Windows and then G, it takes me straight to Google Chrome. I mean, is it a deliberate decision by Microsoft? Maybe it's a kind of Alzheimer's prevention thing. You know, people say that one way to try and combat Alzheimer's is to do something different, not do the same thing, not repeat the same thing every single day, learn new habits, build new connections. So maybe this is a kind of philanthropic venture by Microsoft, but I would argue that any good that might be doing is completely undone by my blood pressure increase
And it doesn't just take up a few seconds. All the seconds mount up. And also, it distracts me as well. I've got an idea in my head. Right, I quickly do this. And then before I know it, I'm spending 2 minutes shouting at the computer about the game bar. Goodness knows what Ellie's thinking. I don't want to go to the game bar. She's in a different room, so it's going to sound a bit muffled. She's thinking, oh, God, I knew this would happen. He's in denial. And then she sees my emails from Mike.
I'm sorry, Dave. This conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.
Technological regression. Technological regression.
So a few little things that have been in my head as we've gone through the week, Ellie. Ellie's looking at her phone. What are you doing?
I was just checking. What? Well, the thing I'm going to tell you about, maybe. There's I just need to check.
She's just
dates.
Getting her facts, getting her dates in line, because you know that one of the key tenets of the David Eagle podcast is factual accuracy and Germany. Germany? Journalism. I don't know why I said Germany.
I don't know why you said Germany. We haven't done... Unless that's where our next mystery holiday is and we just don't know yet and you're just having a psychic premonition.
Talking of the holiday, I think we're going to try and go on another mystery holiday. Oh, bloody hell, what's going on?
Holiday?
We're going to go on another mystery holiday at the end of the year. That's the plan, if we can.
Yeah.
In our end is our beginning, as they say. Which reminds me of that night that I spent with a rather sexually gregarious contortionist. But anyway. But
I love how pleased you are with that. I could see the wheels turning as you were like...
Anyway.
Oh, dear.
Okay, but why are you checking facts? Why are you checking dates, Ellie? It's because when we were talking on my walking entry about overheard conversations, that reminded you of a little story.
Yeah, so in 2011, I was living in Newcastle and it was a very snowy winter. I was on the bus and there were these two old Geordie ladies just sat on the bus and they were like, hey, it's pretty bad this year, isn't it? Yeah, snow's really thick. Oh, they don't get that down south, you know. Oh, no, why's that then? They've got that underfloor heating in London. And so the snow doesn't stay, it just melts. I was like, oh, that's... In a way, it's kind of true. They do have the underfloor heat of the underground. But I was just like, oh, that's so sweet. And I put it on Facebook that I'd heard it and said, that's how I know when it was. Because I get Facebook memories.
Yes, we're doing a lot of recycling old material on the podcast. I played you a clip of something that I did about overheard conversations in 2013. Ellie's taking it back to 2011. Ooh. Feel free, listeners, if you've heard anything interesting. It's a great thing to say at the end of the podcast. Then do let us know. You can email us, thedavideaglepodcast@gmail.com, and you can reach out on the old socials at the David Eagle. That's at the David Eagle on the socials there. Okay, Ellie, before we end, we have...
I really hate your posh DJ voice.
I know.
I really hate it.
It's my bedroom voice as well, listeners.
That's why nothing happens anymore, mate.
Anyway.
No smashy nicey for you.
So, as you know, Ellie, I was recognised in the park. I mean, that couldn't have been better. The fact that the whole accident of just me taking a wrong turning, and that's, in some ways, if that's, maybe this is what we should leave you with in a way, but we're not going to leave you with it because we've got a bit more. But if we were to leave you with it, I suppose the thought for the week would be sometimes taking a wrong turning is a right turning.
Puts you on the right track.
Exactly. But it used to happen all the time. I would say the first 3 or 4 weeks of going out with Ellie, I lived a 40-minute walk away, and yet it didn't stop us. It didn't stop us. I mean,
didn't stop you. I wouldn't walk to yours.
Worthy of a folk ballad, surely. I would say, like, more or less every couple of days that I would walk to your house, someone would spot me in the street and start talking to me and say that they'd seen me at a comedy gig. I think at that point it was more likely that it was going to be with the band, with the young'uns. And people would come up to me. So because it's quite a novel thing, it might happen like once a month or something, or twice a month or something like that I'll get recognised. But because it was quite a novel thing for me, when I got to yours, I would say, oh, Ellie, I've been recognised. Someone in the street said how much, and I'd tell that story. And then a couple of days later, it would happen again. So the next time I saw you, I was like, I don't believe it, Ellie. It's happened again. Someone else spotted me and said how much they enjoyed what I do. And I don't know if you thought that I was just making this up as a way to try and impress you, or if you genuinely believe that I was.
I think I believed you.
And I'm keeping up the pretense to this day, listeners.
I mean,
that man was an actor.
I think my favourite story of someone recognising you was when you weren't even there.
Oh, yeah.
So you used to take taxis quite a lot when you lived in that old house. So quite a lot of the taxi drivers of Sheffield got to know you. And I feel bad for them now that you've got a bus pass, because their business must have gone right downhill. There was one time that Sean...
But then at least that saves on fuel if they're going downhill.
Yes.
Oh.
There was one time that Sean...
Remember when I said we should have left it there?
Leaved it there.
Oh, God, I've done it again.
One time Sean got into the taxi, Sean from the band.
Yeah, Sean from the Young'uns fame.
And the taxi driver was talking to him and asking what he did. And he said, I'm a folk singer. And he said, I had a folk singer in my taxi the other day. He's a comedian as well. Maybe you know him. Blind fella, very funny. David, his name is. And Sean was like, oh, bloody hell, I can't even get away from him when I'm just going out to the pub.
And apparently all through the journey, this guy was just telling stories about me. We must have had
how great you are.
a rather long journey, because he's like, oh, yeah, he told me this story about this thing. And she was like, yes. I know, I've heard that one.
Yes,
and then
for that.
But then rather than the taxi driver going, oh, yeah, you've heard it, have you? He just continued to tell him the story. So Sean's had to listen to this story all about me. Talking of stories... Not entirely sure how good that link is, considering a lot of what we do is story-based, but still, talking of stories, it's time for another guide dog story.
Oh, yeah.
Our guide dog stories are proving quite popular. There was a comment from Olivia about the Guns N' Roses discovery that I made on the dark web, which contained a rubber duck solo. And a bit of confusion from Olivia there. Just a bit of a correction, Olivia. Olivia said that her dog really enjoyed my rubber duck solo. I don't know how she's got this confused or how she's got this conflated. I think this is maybe the problem of doing comedy, is people don't necessarily know when I'm doing comedy and when I'm doing journalism. I've had that a lot, especially in Doncaster, actually. People didn't know I was doing comedy. But Olivia said that she very much enjoyed my rubber duck solo. Just a bit of a correction there. It was Splashes from Guns N' Roses rubber duck solo. But I'm glad that your dog has enjoyed that anyway. Guide dog stories proving popular, so let's have another one. And we head back to my good friend Phil, his second guide dog. So we told stories about his first and his third guide dog on previous podcasts. Unfortunately, Phil's second dog, Elton, who did get a mention on the podcast in our aforementioned gay animals episode. Elton was not gay, to the best of my knowledge. He may well have been.
Could still be.
Could still be. Still is alive at the time of writing. We will, maybe that's a feature as well. We'll keep an eye out on that.
But Elton wasn't with Phil for so long because he unfortunately had to be retired out of service because he was essentially rubbish.
He was mischievous, but also a bit more malfunctioning.
And it wasn't really his fault because he was trained sort of during the pandemic. So
he was trained during lockdown, which in fairness, how do you train a guide dog when you're not allowed to leave the house?
Yeah.
You know, that is quite difficult. And I think they did it on some sort of like simulator. They had him on a treadmill.
VR headset.
Revolutionary stuff. And it cost guide dogs an absolute fortune.
Elton caused a couple of issues for Phil, and some of them could have been quite costly.
Phil had to call a plumber because the toilet was blocked and Phil couldn't work out what the heck was going on. So he called a plumber out. The plumber turned up. As soon as he went into the bathroom, he said, I know exactly what the problem is, Phil, and I'm not going to charge you for this. He said, I'm not going to charge you for this because if you could see what was going on, you'd have fixed yourself and wouldn't have called me out. He said, I know exactly what's blocking the toilet. I mean, this would have been a bit awkward. But you've done a massive shit, Phil.
You need a bit more fibre in your diet, mate. This is concerning.
He says there's a dog toy in the toilet. So presumably what Elton had done is gone into the bathroom, dropped one of his toys in the toilet, and then he ran off, and Phil had to call a plumber out. So the plumber removes the dog toy, and then Phil goes, oh, bloody hell, Elton, you know. And Phil suddenly goes, actually, where is Elton? Yeah. And he couldn't find him anywhere, so he's searching high and low for him. And
they've gone out the front.
Now, bearing in mind, the poor plumber he's just said, I'm not going to charge for this. This is already a trip that the plumber's not getting any money for. Phil is now keeping the plumber longer than was planned, because now the plumber feels he's got to help Phil find his missing guide dog. So they searched for a good 20 minutes or so, calling his name.
They checked outside because they were worried that when the plumber had gone out to get a tool, he might have left the door open
yes,
and
that's
the
his
dogs
apprentice
run out.
or tool.
They'd searched up and down the street and looked around and nowhere to be found, come back in the house, And the plumber, when he was looking for the bathroom, had opened a cupboard door and not shut it properly, thinking that that was the bathroom. And actually, that was the cupboard where Phil was keeping all the dog treats and food.
And so that's where they found him. And Elton was working his way through a month's supply of dog food and dog treats. And the irony as well, he's meant to get these for being a good dog. And it's a little bit as being a reward for not getting Phil killed on a road crossing. And Elton is just gorging on a month's supply of dog food and dog treats.
Having blocked the toilet.
Blocked the toilet. It was almost like the perfect conceit. It's almost like you're gone, if I get the toilet blocked, Phil's got to get a plumber. The plumber will come in. He'll open the bathroom cupboard where all the stuff is. I'll then dart through while the plumber's distracted. No one's the wiser. They'll be looking for me. Meanwhile, that buys me a bit of time. So I don't know how we're going to end this podcast, Ellie. Normally, of course, we end with you doing some sort of accents.
I did read you a story, and a lot of it involved Welsh accents.
Maybe that's how we'll end. That's the accent.
And you've got some gigs coming up.
Oh, yes. Actually, that's very important that we mention that. If you want to see me on tour, I'm doing some rural touring. I've tried it out on the people of Somerset. I think it's good enough now to take it. The people of Cumbria and Durham and Northumberland, and I shall be doing these rural tour gigs primarily in village halls in April and in May. And you can find out all about that by visiting the gigs page on my website, davideagle.co.uk. Sorry.
What happened there? Were you just taken over by something? It was like you were possessed.
David Eagle. I was trying. I knew a belch was coming. And I just thought, if I can just get to the end of this sentence, then I can deal with that very quietly, that belch. Yeah. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, as you heard.
You sound like a demon.
Slow motion replay. Anyway, I think we get the point. What a brilliant advert that was.
Yeah.
I mean, they definitely sold the tickets there.
But also, by the time this comes out, it'll be on your Instagram and on your Facebook page.
It'll be on the old socials, everybody.
Stop it. Stop doing that voice. Stop it.
Well, talking of voices, Ellie's going to say goodbye in a Welsh accent, and we'll be back next week. So from me, David Eagle.
From me, Ellie Eagleskinner.
And, who do we have? We have Cariad. Cariad's here. Hello, Cariad. Do come in, Cariad. Mind the rug. What would you like to say, Cariad?
Goodbye, listeners, to the David Eagle podcast. Have a lovely week. We'll see you next time. Yucky da.